It would be so much easier if we could read animals' minds. This whale suddenly swallowed a diver. Then, 5 minutes later, everyone was extremely shocked by something that will blow your minds. Welcome to Amazing Truth Channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new. Now go to the story. Miguel loved diving and snorkeling, which was really good since he was a marine biologist. He did a lot of diving for work, but each time was new and special. There wasn't anything routine about his job, but there are some experiences that he will never forget. When Miguel and his team went into the ocean one day, they had no idea that it would be the most memorable and also terrifying day of their lives. The boat stopped a distance away from a reef, far enough not to do any damage, and then Miguel and another diver headed out. They were seeing a lot of animals because visibility was so great that day. They had to collect some data, and it was going well. They were focused on their work, but at the same time, the divers wouldn't miss a great opportunity to watch wildlife as they went past. They were close to some areas known for humpback whale breeding, so it wasn't strange to see them coming past in the deeper water. The creatures were beautiful. They're known as the gentle giants of the marine world, and they're always special to see. But one of them was going to act very strangely on this day. Everyone would be shocked. Miguel's diving partner needed to return to the boat with some samples. Miguel decided to hang around and just look at the ocean for a little while. As an expert diver, diving solo wasn't an issue. Besides, they weren't that deep either, so it shouldn't have been an issue. But even the biggest expert in the world can get into trouble. The humpback whales went past, and then something wild happened. One suddenly broke away and swam straight up to Miguel. It's always a better idea to keep your distance from such a large, wild animal. Despite them having a reputation for being gentle, it was still huge. Without intending to, the animal could injure a human easily if it bumped into them. Generally, just getting out of the way was enough to keep out of their way, but not this time. Each time Miguel changed direction, the humpback followed him. It came up close to him, and he held out his hand, and the whale swam right into it. He was petting a humpback whale. It was an emotional and beautiful experience. But after a few seconds, the whale became pushier. It was seriously strange. She used her fin and tried to push Miguel underneath her. The man tried to move away, but the whale just kept coming. Getting that close to the humpback was dangerous. Her skin was full of barnacles, and his wetsuit was getting cut by the sharp edges. He tried to push her to the side, getting her to go past him, but she wasn't interested. It was becoming slightly frightening. Miguel was all alone, and he needed to stay calm, or he might not make it out alive. She suddenly started pushing Miguel on her nose, and despite being a powerful swimmer, he had no way to stop her. She pushed him to the surface. The team saw him coming up from the boat, and then a humpback whale was right next to him, pushing him forward. But they were too far away to do anything besides what can you do against an animal that can weigh up to 40 metric tons? In seconds, things changed, and they watched something shocking happen. Miguel could see the boat and the people, and he knew how close he was to safety, but there was just no way to get to it. A human will never outswim a whale. Even keeping them on the surface wouldn't help much, because they breathe air too. They spend a lot of time on the surface of the ocean. They're powerful creatures, and in the water he had no means to overpower her and get away. He was completely under her control. This was a man who had swum in the ocean before he could walk and talk. He had done hundreds of dives and seen many animals, including many whales, but now, for the first time ever, he was scared. Even worse, he was scared of an animal that he considered his favorite. The team on the boat was in shock. They couldn't believe it either. A humpback was not supposed to act in this way. And then they would be shocked even more. The whale suddenly swallowed the diver and went under the water. By then, they had the smaller rubber duck ready, and they raced towards where they had last seen Miguel. They didn't know what to do or how to act. There are safety protocols for many different sea creatures. For humpback whales, though, just keeping your distance is normally enough. But of course, all wild animals can be dangerous. But even so, they couldn't believe that they just witnessed a man being swallowed alive. It was 5 minutes later, and they saw no signs of Miguel. They needed to head back to the boat and call ocean rescue to come and assist them in finding him and the humpback. There was deathly silence hanging over all of them. No one could have seen this coming, and they would not expect what was coming next either. They got back to the boat, and everyone was extremely shocked to see that Miguel was on the boat. He was lying on his back and seemed out of breath and exhausted, but he was alive and completely unharmed. Everyone started asking questions at once, but he held up his hand to stop them, and then he filled in the blanks. Everything that any of them, including Miguel, thought was wrong. The whale was trying to push him towards the boat, and he didn't realize it, and so he was fighting. That was when she opened her mouth, and everybody thought she'd swallowed him. She did pull him underneath the water again, maybe because she felt she could swim faster in deeper depths and control this human who wasn't cooperating. Miguel still had no clue what was going on, but they were close to the rocks of the reef, and he could get seriously injured if he tried to fight and got backed up against the rocks. She had a gentle hold of him, and because he still had his diving gear on, he was breathing under the water. He did have to fight to keep his breathing even, but years of practice helped him to do that despite the terror that was bubbling inside of him. When it started becoming very clear that she wasn't going to let him go, he decided that the best course of action might just be to relax his body and go with it. Fighting was only going to get him injured, and if he tried to relax, he might be able to see a window where he could get free. He had no idea that he was fighting against the wrong animal the entire time. She was pushing him forward, and then suddenly she stopped and tried to hide him under her pectoral fin. That was when he at last understood what was going on. Out from the side of the rocks came one of the biggest tiger sharks the diver had ever seen. It was massive. Seeing such a huge tiger shark on your own could spell big trouble. Miguel loved sharks and hated the stereotypes that were created around them. But there is a reason that people are scared of tiger sharks. They're known for being aggressive, and this one seemed to be looking for a fight. He kept circling the humpback whale, but his focus seemed to be the human she was protecting. Miguel kept perfectly still. Could this shark have been stalking him for longer than he'd understood? The humpback whale was trying to protect him, and he had been doing everything to make it harder for her. She just wanted the human out of the area and back in his boat before he got attacked. It was incredible, but not entirely surprising. Humpback whales have been known to protect other sea creatures. There have been many sightings of humpback whales giving refuge to sea creatures. It hasn't happened often that they interact in this way with humans, but it made sense. They are incredibly smart creatures. The shark seemed to understand he wouldn't get to the human except through the whale, and he turned and swam away. But Miguel's rescuer wasn't going to take any chances. As soon as it was safe, she got him back on her nose and pushed him all the way back to the boat. He rubbed her head and thanked her. As soon as he was out of the water, she left. It was incredible that a wild animal could have such a strong drive to protect a complete stranger. Everyone was safe, and they decided to call it a day and go home. But it was for sure one they would never forget. If you like the story, surely the next video that's appearing on your screen will move you too. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and activate the notification bell so you won't miss any of our next videos. A huge kiss, and see you in the next story.